Right. Are we all set? Good. Today, Mark will be sharing his experience with the gardening project he undertook with his community group. So, over to you, Mark.
Thanks. Mrs. Anderson has asked me to explain the community gardening project I participated in as a member of our local environmental club. I spent 6 weeks working on various aspects and taught gardening techniques to a group of enthusiastic volunteers. The project I opted for was creating a butterfly garden, and I believe it can be adapted for different locations. So, to describe the project, after completing the research, we returned to the gardening area to plant 2 primary flower bed shapes using recycled materials. First, we all planted a circular bed by, if I demonstrate now, digging a hole in the center and then planting flowers around it like this, a circular bed that attracts butterflies. The other bed was a bit more complex, starting with a rectangular shape, like this, then adding a border with flowering plants. I've already prepared this part, which I have here. You arrange the flowers and secure them with soil or compost around the edges of the rectangle, like this. Again, I've prepped this to avoid making a mess. Volunteers, on the other hand, might get their hands dirty, so aprons are essential. And there you have a pollinator-friendly garden, as in attracting butterflies and bees. Now, variations and combinations of these 2 flower bed shapes served as the foundation for the volunteers' final designs. The subsequent phase of the project was the design stage, involving using their research notes to sketch a plan of their garden on paper. That's the straightforward part. They then had to transform their 2-dimensional design into a garden that fits the available space. I suggested they create a small-scale, 3-dimensional garden first so they could experiment with achieving the desired layout, and I set certain guidelines to keep things simple. For instance, they had to use compost, not fertilizer. Compost is more environmentally friendly and easier to handle. They also had to limit their plant choices to local species that support the local ecosystem and ensure there were no visible plastic containers. Well, it was a delightful experience, and to give you an idea of what they accomplished, I've brought along 3 gardens to show you. This one here is inspired by a native meadow, using a mix of wildflowers. It was designed by Emily. Here's another one with a simple path encircling the garden, but then incorporating paths that extend outward from the center and meet at the edge, rather like a sunburst, creating a visually striking garden. This was created by David. And lastly, there's a combination of a circular flower bed or a winding path around the garden, and then the rectangular flower bed shape in the middle to form a central oasis. This was designed by Sarah, and there are many more that I could have brought.
Thank you, Mark. That was most enlightening. Now, what we can gather from this is that